welcome to The Married Therapist,
a relationship podcast
hosted by us, Luis and Amber Simide.
This podcast is all about love, conflict, and the gray areas.
If you like what you hear, be sure to like and subscribe wherever you're listening. Now let's get to the show. Welcome back. As we mentioned in our very first podcast episode, we would love to answer some of your relationship questions and dilemmas. As a reminder, we are therapists, but we are not your therapist, so we will not be entering in a therapeutic relationship with you or anything like that. We are just going to give our 2 cents on these relationship dilemmas. So if you wanted to do that, you can email us at simidesquad@gmail.com, and we'll get to those as soon as possible. But until then, we are going to read some that we found on Reddit. So Amber found a couple of juicy ones, and so she's going to read the first one, and we will give our thoughts on it.
Yes, and just a reminder, if you do email us and you want us to answer your relationship dilemma, it will be anonymous.
Yes.
That's very important.
Yes.
Okay, so this one's titled, My Husband's Work Wife Confessed Feelings for Him.
Already a lot. ...
And he didn't shut her down. I found out by accident. What now? So this is the post. I, 34 female, have been married to my husband, 34 male, for 7 years. He works in a high-pressure corporate job and has always talked about his work wife, Lena. I never thought much of it. He always said it was just office banter and that they were like siblings. I trusted him. Well, last weekend, I was helping him set up a new phone. While transferring his messages, with his permission, a few texts popped up from Lena. I didn't snoop, ... but one caught my eye. It said, I don't know what this means for us, but I've fallen for you. I know you're married, but I can't keep pretending like I don't feel something every time we talk.
Lena, you messy.
My heart dropped. But what got me worse? His reply. I don't know what to say. This is complicated. Let's talk in person. Not, I'm married. Not, this can't happen. Just ... it's complicated. I confronted him. He swore he didn't feel the same way and that he was just trying to let her down gently in person. He insists nothing physical happened and that he only kept talking to her because he didn't want to create work drama. He's since told HR about the situation and is requesting to move teams. But now I feel totally blindsided. Was this emotional cheating? Was he enjoying the attention? Should I believe him that he never crossed a line? Or is the line already crossed? Do I try to work through this? Or is this a betrayal too deep?
Oh my gosh. So much to say on so many things with this. Do you want to start on this, or do you want I can jump in?
Go ahead.
So first of all, this whole idea of work wife, work husband, I think it's very problematic, especially if you are in a committed relationship, like a marriage, to then have a work wife when you have a real wife is already, I'm seeing red flags, right? Now, whoever gave that title, I don't know, but the fact that he didn't shut it down and was leaning into that and it's like, oh, it's just work banter, already that's just, I think, crossing a boundary, potentially. Now, regarding the fact that Lena texted, hey, I feel like I'm having feelings for you, or whatever she said, I think obviously he can't control that, right? People have feelings, whatever. But I think the fact that he didn't shut it down immediately in the text says a lot. Now, I will say, I can see from his perspective how maybe, because she's being vulnerable, Lena's being vulnerable, and sharing this, really putting it out there. And so if he were to shut it down right there, that would be really difficult for her to deal with. At the end of the day, that's not his wife. Her feelings are not his responsibility, right? I think both things could have happened. Something he could have said is, this has gone too far. I am a married man. We need to stop this. We can talk about this further in person. That way, his wife could have seen, okay, he shut it down and planned to talk about it further in the future. But by leaving it open ended and saying, oh, this is complicated, obviously we don't know what all he means by the word complicated because that can mean a lot of things. But what it could sound like to the wife is this is complicated, aka I'm married, but I also have feelings, so this is complicated. So let's talk about this in person. But we don't know because there's a lot of missing information there. As far as what she should do, again, because there is a lot of missing information, I think it's definitely worth letting him explain his side of things instead of making the assumption that everything you're thinking is right and then just jumping ship. But I do think he has some explaining to do for sure. So, as a therapist who specializes in relationships, what are your thoughts on this whole situation?
Well, to your point, I do think she needs more information.
Mm-hmm.
I tell lots of my clients, what do we know? What are the facts? What has been said? What has been done? Right now, she knows that she's the work wife. Lena confessed her love. He wanted to talk about it in person. He said nothing physical happened. He didn't want to create work drama, so that's why he kept talking to her. But he did go to HR
Mm-hmm.
and requested to be on a different team. Cool. We know that. So let's run with that. Also, if it's helpful, I would tell her again, if the wife was my client, do you want to know the details?
Mm-hmm.
When did you guys start talking? What all do you talk about?
Yeah.
Because, yes, I do think it could work. We talked about this in our other podcast where it's a platonic friendship. But are you guys going to lunch every day? Are you guys talking about your marriages? Are you talking about your hopes and your fears and your dreams and stuff like that? Sometimes people need to know the details
Mm-hmm.
to help them make an informed decision. Other times the details are too much.
Yeah.
So I would say, what do you have the capacity for? Do you think that you could trust him?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, like what has he shown in the past that shows that he is trustworthy or not trustworthy?
Right. Honestly, with the way that he responded, professionally, I don't think that's too bad.
Mm-hmm.
I wouldn't focus on that. If she were my client, I would sit down with her and say, what do you need? With what you know right now, do you think it's worth repairing?
Mm-hmm.
You are feeling what? Betrayed, insecure, whatever it is. Does this kind of situation make you want to go to couples therapy? Do you feel like you need time to yourself? Do you feel like you need him to get a different job in order for
Mm-hmm.
that trust to be restored? That would be the focus
Yeah.
that I would take if she were my client. It could be a situation where the guy knew exactly what he was doing
Mm-hmm.
and got caught.
Yeah.
It could be a situation where he didn't. He thought that this was fine. His affections haven't grown as strong as Lena's. And when she confessed her love, he was totally blindsided.
Mm-hmm.
We don't know. So
Yeah.
for the wife, I would just say, hey, you tell me what you feel like you need. And then, okay, you and your husband can have these conversations. But it really just depends. Now, if this guy is not forthcoming,
Mm-hmm.
if he is super secretive, what Lena and I had was nothing. Don't worry about it. Red flags.
Yeah.
Because why are we so
Hiding a work wife.
we're so quick to shut it down?
Yeah.
But if he's just like, okay, we started talking a year ago because our boss was crazy and it was just nice to vent. She's always the one coming to my desk. I never go to her. It just would depend. There's just so many different factors. Again,
Yeah.
lots of information that we don't know. But I wouldn't say make a decision right now.
Yeah. Based on the information that she knows, I wouldn't say that this is the right time to make any kind of decision, any kind of big decision anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I do wonder, I don't know if she had mentioned it in there, if she knew that this was his work wife and if she's met Lena before. Because if this is the first time that she's hearing about this work wife situation, Obviously, that would be a red flag because it seems that Lena is an important part of his workday. And so if she didn't know anything about her, that would be a red flag because that would indicate that he's hiding it from her. If they've never met, I think that would also potentially be a red flag. I don't know. Granted, if she knew about the work wife, I guess the onus would be on her to say if she wanted to meet her or not. Not the onus on him and saying that you guys need to meet. I don't know. But yeah, there is a lot of missing information I think that we don't have. And so I think that's a lot of what we would need to see. I think emotionally, obviously it seems like she's hurt, right? She doesn't know what to do. She doesn't know if this is emotional cheating, that she said she's blindsided. And so I can imagine that seeing that brings up a lot of feelings, and those feelings are based on the thoughts that she's having, right? Because basic CBT, right? Our thoughts lead to our emotions, emotions lead to our actions. And so if her emotion is feeling betrayed and feeling blindsided, then the thought could be my husband was keeping secrets from me. Whether or not he was doing that, we don't know. We have to find out more information. And so again, if she makes that assumption truth, then it can lead to actions that aren't warranted. But again, we don't know what the truth is yet.
Yeah.
So,
And to answer your question, she did know about Lena.
okay.
She said that he's always talked about his work wife, Lena. She says, I never thought much of it. He always said it was just office banter and that they were like siblings. I trusted him.
Okay. Honestly, I don't love the idea of work wife, work husband in general.
I think it could get really sticky. I think it goes back to what we said in our other podcast. Like, can
Mhm.
men and women truly be friends? How often are we talking and what are we talking about?
Yeah.
In some work environments, it's so nice to be able to have like a buddy
Yeah.
that you can chat with because being validated is everything.
Yeah.
If you have issues with your boss or there's something else that's going on, just a funky office culture and nobody feels the same way,
Yeah.
that can be really tough to feel isolated. So to have someone, one person is great. If you have a group, that's even better. But to have a person who's like, oh yeah, our boss is crazy.
Yeah. And I wonder what the dynamic of their relationship was that gave them that title of work wife, work husband. Because it seems like that was given to them. It wasn't something that they gave to themselves. I don't think anyway. But I wonder what that looked like to
Yeah.
get that
It
title.
said it's a high pressure type of job.
Hmm.
So again, we're just stretched from all sides. And so I'm imagining they just were stressed beyond belief, maybe burning the midnight oil, working on a
Yeah.
project. And it was just one thing led to another, and they just start talking. That in and of itself is fine. But again, basic sociology, if we're
Hmm.
spending so much time with a person, our affections are going to grow
Yeah.
somehow, some way, especially if we're really opening up.
Yeah. I do wonder for him what complicated means, and I think that's a question that she should ask him. Like I see that you wrote complicated because she's making an assumption of what complicated means because she said he didn't say that I was married. He just said it was complicated. So to her that meant something that he said it was that the choice of words meant something to her. Now again, I do wonder what the context was when he got that message, how he sent it to her, all of that, and what time she sent it at. But again, I don't think there's anything that he said in the texts that shows that he was cheating necessarily. I'm not saying that he wasn't because we don't know, but I don't think there's anything definitively saying that he did, right? And I think the fact that he requested to move departments from HR says a lot because if he was adamant that it was not a big deal or if he was whatever, and he didn't do that, that would definitely raise some red flags. It's like this woman is saying that she has feelings for you, and you're still choosing to work as closely with her as you were before. Obviously, that would be a bad thing. So the fact that is taking steps already to rectify the situation, I think, puts him in a good light and could ease the person who wrote this a little bit. But again,
Yeah.
more information is needed. And
Yeah. And I do want to say sometimes there's a fine line between flirtation and friendliness.
Yeah, banter.
Yeah. He could have been a person who was very aware that he was flirting,
Mhm.
but he could be a person who is aloof and unaware that his friendliness was perceived in a different way.
Yeah,
So we just got to have a conversation. And the hope would be that he would be honest
right.
because he can most certainly lie.
Mhm.
That's a whole other thing. But I think sitting down, having a conversation, figuring out what exactly happened
Yeah.
would help the wife be able to make an informed decision.
Yeah, and I think the fact that he has talked about this work wife, Lena, and she trusted him with that and not saw it as a big deal, that says a lot about how much she trusts him, and that says a lot about the trust that they have within their marriage, because if they didn't have trust, as soon as someone would mention a work wife, that would raise all these red flags and bring up this anxiety and this challenge or this conflict. But the fact that it didn't, I think says a lot. Now, again, this brings up a new layer. Lena had feelings is what is bringing up these emotions and not necessarily that he has feelings. He never said that. And so, again, I think there's just more information we need from both of them.
And lastly, I want to say I don't think Lena's bad.
Yeah.
I'm imagining people who are listening or watching may be thinking, oh my gosh, what a home wrecker.
Hmm.
We don't know.
Yeah.
Lena could also be innocent in the situation as far as I had this coworker and we had a little office banter and we were just friendly. One thing led to another and then I developed feelings. That's a normal thing.
Hmm.
I wouldn't even say she's bad for communicating that, which may be a hot take, but we just don't know. I don't think Lena should have not said anything
Yeah.
because some people may be like, well, once she caught feelings, she should have shut it down. She should have moved to a different
Mm.
department. She should have left the job or whatever. She could have done that, but I just am saying I don't think it's a bad thing that she communicated it.
Yeah. I'm glad she communicated it. And if she truly didn't want it to lead anywhere, she could have been like, hey, I'm starting to feel this way. We should probably titrate the amount of time we're spending with each other or something along those lines.
Yeah.
Because I think just saying, hey, I have feelings for you
Yeah.
and
She's
not making any changes, then that shows that
she's
she,
hoping that it would go
yeah,
somewhere.
she's hoping that it's mutual. She's hoping that, again, this is all assumptions, but she didn't shut it down either. And
That's
so I
true.
think there's probably more on her side wanting to lean into it than not.
That's true. And it makes me wonder, has he ever said anything that indicated that he was unhappy?
Mm,
If he did, maybe that's the reason why she felt comfortable saying that.
yeah,
So we just don't know. But I just was saying, I don't think it's the worst thing that she communicated her feelings.
yeah.
Maybe she had plans to make changes. We have no idea.
Mhm.
But if we look at her text, we just isolate that. I just don't think. Let me reread it. I don't know what this means for us, but I've fallen for you. I know you're married, but I can't keep pretending like I don't feel something every time we talk. Okay, never mind.
Yeah, that's pretty damning on her part.
I was just thinking she said, I have feelings for you. But
Yeah.
the fact that she said, I don't know what this means for us,
Mhm.
and the fact that she said, I know you're married, but of course, we
Yeah.
all know when you say but, everything you say previously gets erased. I can't keep pretending like I don't feel something every time we talk. So,
Yeah, meaning I'm feeling this, so I feel like we should lean into it,
yeah.
right? Which
So, never
and
mind.
yeah, Lena, girl, you're wrong. You're wrong for that. Now to answer the wife's question, is this emotional cheating? I would say we don't know yet. We don't have enough information to determine that yet. And is he in too deep? I would say no, pretty definitively. Like it's not too late. Granted, I guess we don't know all the information, but I would lean towards no because one, he changed positions and whatever. I also wonder because she said she just found out. Like he didn't tell her this happened. She just found out. So that makes me wonder for him, did all this happen like a month ago? He changed departments didn't tell his wife that he changed apartments, didn't tell her why he changed apartments, maybe to save her from feeling hurt or whatever. I don't know. So that poses a whole different set of problems. Or if he just said he switched apartments because they paid more or made up some other excuse, again, that brings up a whole other set of problems because he lied about it. Again, we don't know all the information, but it did say that she found out that he didn't tell her. So that's
Yeah.
a little iffy.
And the way that I read it was he talked to HR and switched departments or requested to switch apartments after the wife found out.
Oh yeah.
Let me reread it. Yeah, I confronted him.
Yeah.
He didn't feel the same way. Okay, he insists nothing physical happened. He only kept talking to her because he didn't want to create work drama. He's since told HR about the situation and is requesting to move teams.
Yeah. So that doesn't look good on him because he was never gonna tell her, and he continued to talk to Lena
Yeah.
after she told him this to not create work drama. But at the end of the day, he wouldn't be the one creating the drama. But I think the fact that she texted him with the seeming intent to continue being in a relationship and he didn't shut that down, that looks bad on him.
Yeah.
That he continued to talk to her because again that shows one a lack of boundaries because with that situation, yeah, she told you how she feels and she has no intention on backing down on that and you continue to talk to her. That doesn't look good, bro. And again, with that, he could have sure there could have been some work drama created. There could have been some dynamics that have changed at work, but at the end of the day, you have to look at what's more important to you. The culture at work or your marriage and how your wife views you.
Hmm.
Because right now, he's choosing to prioritize the work culture over his relationship with his wife. And that's not okay.
Yeah.
And so I think, yeah, he's not great for that. To go back to her question though, I don't think he's in too deep. I think you can work through this. I think for him, there needs to be some work on creating boundaries. Maybe he's bad with boundaries. Maybe he's bad with expressing his needs. Maybe he's a people pleaser. We don't know. But I think there are things that he can work on and they can work on as a couple. So I don't think it's beyond repair at this point from what I'm seeing. If he did, in fact, cheat with her physically, I think that's a whole different situation. I don't see any indications that they have, but again, we don't know all the facts. So,
And I don't know if it's, I know you said it's not beyond repair. I think it could be really difficult though if once the wife gets more information, she realizes they're in real deep emotionally.
yeah.
Because emotional affairs are just as devastating, if not
Mhm.
more, than physical affairs. So if this is a situation where he's saying, yeah, I talked to her about my mom dying. I
Mhm.
talked to her about having imposter syndrome, whatever else. Like we like to say, vulnerability breeds intimacy.
Mhm.
So if they're in real deep there, it can be really tricky. So the question is, are we willing to cut it off?
Yeah.
And then, of course, we got to take all the steps to work towards repair. Or is it a situation where he's like, no, yeah, I mean, we switched apartments, but I still talk to her in the break room.
Mhm.
We're still friends on social media. I'm still going to her birthday party. Like,
Yeah. Yeah. I think yeah, what does switching departments really look like practically speaking on the day to day? How does that change their interaction, their quality of interaction or their frequency of interaction? I don't know if switching departments is a matter of just a title switch or if you switch buildings or if you go to a different city. Like, I don't know what switching departments looks like.
because if you're still seeing her,
Yeah.
that could be just as difficult, even though
Uh-huh.
she's not on the same team. Let's say their cubicles are close initially, and now she's on the other side of the building, but every time you walk inside,
Still see her.
you see her.
Yeah.
You get that glance. So just
Yeah.
depends. But sit down, talk about it, and go to couples therapy.
Yes. So I don't think with the information we have, it is absolutely beyond repair. It's possible that it's beyond repair depending on how deep it is, and it's possible to completely repair it and it's not as deep as maybe she's fearing that it is. So I think there's a lot to work through. I think, like you said, a conversation is definitely warranted at this point on both their parts, and no big decisions should be made by this wife yet.
Yeah.
So that's that.
That's tricky.
It is. So, what are your guys' thoughts on this situation? Are they beyond repair? Do you think he cheated? I don't know. We'll see.
Let us know.
Okay. So now we'll do another one that Amber found, another juicy Reddit relationship dilemma.
Okay, this title is My Fiance Confessed He's Still in Love with His Ex, at our engagement party.
Oh my gosh, bro, what?
This is the post. I, 29 female, just had what was supposed to be one of the happiest nights of my life, our engagement party. My fiance, 31 male, and I have been together for 3 years. Everyone always says we're perfect for each other. He's kind, steady, thoughtful, a good man, or so I thought. Halfway through the party, he disappeared for a bit. When I found him, he was outside, visibly upset. I asked what was wrong, and then, I kid you not, he said, I can't do this. I don't think I'm over her. I said, over who? He said his ex. The one he dated before me. The one he said broke his heart, but that he completely moved on from. The one who moved away and just so happened to be back in town and showed up to our party because one of his friends invited her.
Oh my gosh.
I was stunned. He said seeing her again flooded everything back and he didn't know what to do with those feelings. Said he still loved me, but didn't want to go into a marriage with unresolved feelings. I walked out and stayed at a friend's. He's been calling and texting nonstop, saying it was a moment of panic and he didn't mean it, and I'm the one that he wants. His mom is begging me to not throw away something beautiful over one slip up. My own mom is fuming and thinks I should call the wedding off immediately. Now I'm torn. Was this cold feet or a red flag the size of our wedding venue?
Oh man. Okay. So this definitely got more complicated as I read that, or as you read that, because what he said was absolutely problematic, that he saw her and, well, I didn't even realize at that point that he had just seen her for the first time. But the fact that he said, I still have feelings for her, I can't do this, that's definitely going to throw anyone for a loop, especially at your engagement party. Like, what? But after reading more, hearing that they had broken up, she moved away, she just happened to be in town, he saw her for the first time, and he had all these feelings flood back. Again, I don't know how I feel about that. I do wonder for him if it was just familiar feelings that he's felt before, or if it truly was, I need to get back with her. I don't know. Now, I do think I don't know. Actually, I don't know about this. Do you have thoughts on this? There's a lot
Why?
happening in my brain.
Many things. Why in the world would his friends invite her
That part, yeah.
to the engagement party?
Yeah.
That's interesting. I felt like they did that because the friends knew that there was some unresolved stuff. Everybody's on that same wavelength.
Mhm.
Basically, y'all need to figure it out. But that is wild. Not, oh, she's in town and I think you should meet up with her at a coffee shop. She's in town and she needs to come to your engagement party. I just think that is so crazy.
Like, why was she invited, and then why did she come? Two things that are problematic, I think.
Yes, exactly. The fact that he said, I don't know if I could do this says a lot.
Mhm.
Homegirl shook him up enough to make him second guess things. What's so crazy and sad, I know previously in a podcast episode, we said we don't really like to use the word crazy, but I'm using it because that's how wild the story is. That he flipped the script immediately and
Yeah.
said, oh no, haha, just kidding. You're the
Yeah.
one that I want.
After
So,
she went to live, or not live, but stay with her mom, right? Or
yeah.
someone, yeah.
bro, you're confused. And that's okay. It's not a bad thing to be confused. That being said, the wedding needs to be on pause.
Mm-hmm.
You need to figure yourself out.
Yeah.
You need to cut some grass and journal, go to the beach, talk to your therapist, and really make sense of it.
Yeah.
Obviously, before Homegirl came into the picture again, you were dating this person. You did everything you got to do leading up to this engagement. And then in one moment, who knows how long they spoke? Let's say it was 30 minutes.
Maybe he just saw her.
Yeah. I don't even think it was that long because if it was long, she would be like, "Where's my fiance?"
Yeah.
So one moment in time, like you're completely thrown off.
Yeah.
That says a lot. That tells me that you're in real deep.
Either that, or I'm thinking from a mental health perspective, maybe he does have generalized anxiety disorder or some other anxiety umbrella disorder that makes him just overthink things and spin. And maybe he felt something, theoretically, he saw her and felt this panicky feeling and wondered, is this love? Oh no, am I ready for marriage? Oh no, what am I doing here? Right? So he could have just been spinning his wheels. We don't know his mental health history, obviously. But I would I would for her to know what what does he typically do in panicked situations? How does his brain normally work? Is this a normal spiral? Is this a another case of him overthinking things? Or is this completely out of left field? She's never seen this type of behavior. That would be a different thing, I
That's
think.
true. If he's cool, calm, and collected,
Hmm.
he's good with crises, he can problem solve, and this is the first time she's seen him,
Yeah,
that can indicate a lot.
yeah,
Also, the fact that Homegirl broke up with him,
yeah.
that's huge. If it wasn't for her, he would still be with her,
Right.
would be the assumption.
Hmm.
And when you're in his position, that person holds a lot of power.
Yeah, and I wonder how long ago they dated. And did it say how long they had been in a relationship when they got engaged?
Let's
They
see.
just said that she was the previous relationship.
They've been together for 3 years.
Oh, okay. So they've been together for 3 years. I mean, I wonder how long it was between the breakup of that relationship and then him getting with her who he's now engaged to.
Yeah, we
I
don't
don't
know.
know. Yeah. All those are important pieces, I think. But I think the fact that she's writing this out probably indicates she has enough worry about it to know, hey, this doesn't seem like a good thing. What's going on? That she's going to Reddit to solicit information from people.
Yeah. And the question is, was this cold feet or a red flag the size of our wedding venue? So I think just like the other dilemma, sit down and talk to him,
Hmm.
analyze what he's saying, what he's doing. If he could say, I haven't seen her in 5 years and
We were in love at one point. Yeah.
it just brought everything back. I was thrown for a loop. But after thinking about it, no, I don't want her.
Yeah.
I want you. She treated me da 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 da, da, and that's not the kind of person that I want to be with. I'm so sorry that I responded that way and that it impacted you. But yeah, I spiraled. I was just in my head and
Hmm.
I was going through a lot, but after touching grass, I've gotten a lot of clarity.
I've never heard that phrase, touching grass. It's funny.
Mainly people talk about it online when someone is just caught up and
Like
just
head in the clouds.
they're out of touch.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
It's basically, it's grounding.
Right.
So it's like, y'all need to go outside and touch some grass because um whatever you're saying is ridiculous.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think they can work towards repair if it was like that. But yeah, if you have a conversation with him and he's just like, I don't know,
Hmm.
ah, pause the wedding,
Yeah.
if not cancel.
Yeah, and I would look at the history of their 3-year relationship and see if there had been any other signs that he was still into this other girl or still thinking about her. If this is the first sign of anything that you've seen, then that could potentially indicate that it was just a moment in time, a moment's freak out of seeing her for the first time in a long time. I don't know. But I think she would have to look at all the evidence that exists, his mental health history, his way of thinking, his way of problem solving. Again, if there's been any indications that he's still into someone else or any doubts in her mind, because they've been together for 3 years. They've gotten to the point where he he proposed, I'm assuming, maybe she proposed, but they agreed to get married. So there was enough evidence at the point when they agreed to get married to make that decision to do
Yeah.
that. And so again, I would just kind of see what's at play here and really look at the objective evidence. I think people can get really caught up in their emotions of things and make these emotional decisions that really are not, I wouldn't say warranted, but are based on assumptions and not on facts.
Yeah.
So I think, yeah, it will take a lot of just looking at what's all at play here.
Yeah. Something that's interesting is that this girl is saying he was outside visibly upset. That's interesting.
Yeah.
Why was he upset? What did she say? If I was her therapist, I would say, did he explain why he was upset?
Mm.
Was it just seeing her or was it what was said?
Hmm. Or if anything was said, or if it was really just seeing her. I do think there needs to be a come to Jesus moment where they just sit down, go through what happened. What was he thinking? What was he processing? What was he feeling? And just see what possibly happened. And like you said, I think if this is the first time that this kind of freak out has happened, yeah, it would definitely warrant at least pausing the wedding and letting him figure out his stuff. Because yeah, he can say now, like, you're the one that I want, but it's like just 2 seconds ago you were absolutely melting down.
Yeah, and said, I don't think I could do this.
Yeah, like that's a pretty big statement to make at your engagement party. And if that is enough to get you in that mindset, going down the line when you're married, what's going to be the next thing that's going to put you in that position?
True.
So I think there are definitely things to work out personally with him, and then if they feel like it needs to be worked out as a couple, going to couples therapy would be helpful
Yeah.
too.
But main point, do not proceed with this engagement, meaning do not meet up with another vendor, do not pay another deposit, do not send out another invitation. Put all that on pause
Yeah,
because you've got a lot of stuff that you're dealing with. A wedding is fun and wonderful,
and
but
it's expensive.
a wedding's expensive and a wedding is a party. That's how I think of
It
it.
is, yeah.
When it comes to this, we've got to focus on a marriage. You are entering into a marriage with someone. And right now, there's a lot of moving parts. You've got a lot of questions. The trust possibly has been broken.
Mm-hmm.
There's lots of confusion. So we need to put the party aside and we really need to focus on, is this a marriage that I want to go forward with? Does it have a strong foundation? Because it
Yeah,
seems like the rug has been pulled out from you.
yeah. It seems like everything was going well for 3 years, which again
Yeah.
makes me think that this maybe is more of a problem than it could be.
Yeah, because she said, he's kind, steady, thoughtful, a good man. And everybody said we're perfect for each other.
Mm-hmm.
So that once solid foundation is no longer solid. So we
Yeah.
really, really need to focus on that. And as hard as it is, I know we have been married for a year and a half. And so very much remembering that season and how stressful it was. There are a lot of deadlines, a lot of expectations, but also a lot of excitement with it. So I can imagine someone like her wouldn't really want to pause on that, but trust and believe that is the smart thing to do. And anybody going through something similar, or if you know someone that's going through something
Oh
similar
gosh.
and they want to push forward with it, please say no. Run the other way.
Yeah, yeah. I don't know. This is such a tricky situation, and again, I think there's a lot that we don't know. But I agree. I think right now, don't do anything else. Figure out what's happening before making another purchase of anything. Because hopefully, I mean, I don't know how far in advance their wedding date was, if it was going to be a short engagement or what, but hopefully they haven't reached any deadlines or have any money out there that isn't refundable or anything
Yeah.
like that. But
Well, it's an engagement party, and typically those happen, if not the night of the proposal, pretty shortly after. So
Yeah,
that's a really good sign.
that is. And so again, I don't know if they were planning on having a short proposal or a short engagement, if they were going to get married the next month or something. And they have the wedding venue already booked apparently, or maybe that was just a figure of speech. She said,
Yeah, no, she just
okay,
said, was this cold feet or a red flag the size of our wedding venue? But she never said that they,
had a wedding venue.
yeah.
They're just a theoretical
So
wedding venue that was probably going to be big.
I think it's safe to say they probably don't have a ton locked down
Yeah,
because it is an engagement party. And most people wind up having,
a few months at least.
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, so they have time. I think they need to figure this out. They don't just press forward as if it didn't happen because it did happen, and it's a pretty big thing. So, yeah, figure it out. And then if what you figured out isn't great, then you have the information you need to move forward and break off this wedding for sure and possibly the relationship.
Yeah, because when it comes to a marriage, a lot of things have to be in place in order for it to be solid. You do not want to go into a marriage not even knowing if your partner is committed to you.
Yeah, it's not the move.
So we got to really address that
hmm
before feeling confident to move forward.
Yeah, but what do you guys think? What do you guys think about the situation? She just call it off right away, or do you think this is something that they need to work through and figure out?
Let us know. And again, if you have a relationship dilemma, please let us know. You can email us at simidesquad@gmail. Simide is our last name, and that's SEMIDEY squad. It will be anonymous, so you don't have to worry about us saying your name. And yeah, we are therapists, but we're not your therapist. So if you do submit it, just know we'll do the best that we can. Take it with a grain of salt, though.
Yes. Thank you guys for joining. If you guys have any questions, comments, concerns, just let us know in the comments, and we will see you next time.
Subscribe, like, comment, all the things. We love the support.
Yeah. See you guys next time.
Bye.